You might not spend a lot of time thinking about it, but the global market for what's called specialty fats and oils is, well, it's absolutely
It's
enormous.
huge.
Yeah, we're talking about a staggering USD 26,284 million just for 2025.
And that's not your average trip down the cooking oil aisle, is it?
Not at all. This goes way beyond that. It's a much deeper dive into, what's shaping industries worldwide.
It's fascinating how broad this category actually is.
Mhm.
We're not just looking at, say, olive and sunflower oils, though they are included.
Right.
We're also talking about things like palm oil, soya, peanut, coconut, rapeseed oils.
Mm.
Quite a list.
And the fat side, too.
Exactly. On the fat side, think about um, cocoa butter substitutes, crucial for confectionery.
Mm-hmm.
Lauric fats you might find in soaps, creaming fats essential for baking. Even this familiar stuff like butter, margarine, and shortenings. It's a really diverse landscape.
It really is. So our mission today, essentially, is to unpack this massive market.
Get into the weeds a bit.
Yeah, exactly. We want to understand where this, over $26 billion industry stands right now, where it's predicted to go.
And what's driving it all?
Right. What are the key forces behind these trends across different regions, different sectors? Because the projections, they're pretty remarkable.
They really are.
By 2033, this market is expected to balloon to nearly USD 53,930 million,
Wow.
growing at an average rate of 9.4% each year from 2025. That kind of growth tells us something significant is happening.
Definitely. That 9.4% average annual growth, the CAGR, it really highlights that this isn't some static corner of the economy.
No.
It's actively changing. It's responding to, well, a lot of different pressures, which I guess we're about to explore.
Let's do it. Let's get that bird's eye view first.
No.
This recent report we're looking at confirms that 2025 number, USD 26,284 million globally. And that projected climb, like we said, to around USD 53,930 million by 2033. That's fueled by the 9.4% CAGR.
And while that average growth is, consistent overall,
Yeah.
it's the variations in that pace across different parts of the world that really start to paint a more detailed picture, don't they?
Absolutely. That's where it gets interesting. Let's break down those regional dynamics.
Okay.
North America is currently the dominant force. We're talking over 40% of the global market in 2025.
40%. That's huge.
It is. Size-wise, that's USD 9,725.08 million. Their growth is projected at a 7.8% CAGR between 2025 and 2033.
Still very healthy growth.
Definitely. And if we drill down a bit, the U.S. market is substantial.
Yeah.
USD 7,673.09 million, 7.6% CAGR.
Right.
Canada sits at USD 1,167.98 million, but with a slightly higher 8.6% CAGR.
Interesting.
And Mexico is at USD 884.98 million, 8.3% growth rate. So why is North America such a key player right now? What's the report say?
Well, the report seems to suggest a strong link to increasing health awareness. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
There's a growing preference for healthier fats,
Mm-hmm.
specifically looking for things that are trans fat-free, plant-based.
It's a whole trend.
Exactly. And the demand for functional ingredients in everyday foods like bakery items, chocolates, dairy products.
Yeah.
That's also significant. Plus, you have the now well-established trend of vegan and plant-based diets really gaining popularity.
That makes sense. Okay, now if we hop over the Atlantic to Europe, they represent over 30% of the global revenue.
Still a major slice.
Yeah, a 2025 market size of USD 7,622.36 million and a projected CGR of 8.4%, slightly higher than North America's average.
Okay.
Within Europe, the UK shows strong performance, USD 1,280.56 million market, and a robust 9.2% CAGR.
Wow. Higher still.
Yeah. Germany is actually bigger in market size, USD 1,509.23 million, but slightly slower growth at 8.6% CAGR.
Still very strong.
Then France, USD 701.26 million with a 7.6% CGR. Russia at USD 1,121.47 million, 7.4%. Italy, USD 655.52 million, 7.8%. And Spain, USD 625.03 million with 7.5%. So yeah, it looks like a pretty varied landscape across the continent.
It really does. And what's fascinating here is how, well, similar yet slightly different the driving forces seem to be compared to North America.
How so?
There's definitely that strong consumer push for healthier, more sustainably sourced ingredients. That's clear.
Right.
The rise of plant-based and vegan eating is, again, a significant factor. It increases demand for alternative fats like, palm oil, shea butter.
Okay.
And you also have health-conscious consumers actively seeking out oils with lower saturated fat content, higher levels of beneficial omega fatty acids, that sort of thing.
Got it. Now let's turn our attention to Asia Pacific, APAC.
Right. The big growth story.
Exactly. They currently account for around 23% of global revenue,
Right.
2025 market size, USD 6,308.16 million. But here's where, like you said, the growth story really takes off.
Hmm.
Their projected CAGR from 2025 to 2033 is a remarkable 12.2%.
12.2%.
Yeah, making them the fastest growing region by a significant margin.
Wow.
Leading this growth is China, USD 2,649.43 million market, 11.7% CAGR.
Huge market, huge growth.
Then India follows, smaller market size at USD 630.82 million, but the highest regional CAGR at 14.1%.
14%, incredible.
And Japan is at USD 870.53 million, with a still impressive 10.7% CAGR. So what's behind this rapid acceleration in APAC?
Well, I think it's the sheer scale of urbanization and dietary transitions happening kind of simultaneously in countries like China and India.
Right, the pace of change.
Exactly. It creates this powerful multiplier effect. It's not just more people eating processed foods, it's a massive influx of new consumers entering these markets. Consumers with different dietary expectations, increased disposable income. It leads to a more pronounced impact on specialty fat and oil demand compared to, say, more mature markets.
So rising demand for processed foods is a big factor.
Huge. Alongside growing awareness around health, greater adoption of plant-based options, it's all happening there.
Right.
The expanding middle class in many APAC nations also means higher consumption of things like confectionery, baked goods, dairy.
All of which rely heavily on these specialty ingredients.
Precisely.
Okay. Moving on to South America, they hold more than 5% of the global revenue. 2025 market size, USD 998.79 million. Projected CAGR of 10.1%.
So double-digit growth there, too.
Yep. Brazil is the dominant player here. USD 427.48 million, 10.7% CAGR, followed by Argentina at USD 167.80 million, with an even higher 11.0% CAGR.
Interesting. Argentina, slightly faster growth.
Yeah. What's driving the growth in this part of the world, according to the report?
It seems similar themes again, really. The increasing demand for processed foods, particularly within bakery and confectionery sectors.
Yeah.
That's a significant driver in South America.
Okay.
And there's also that growing preference among consumers for healthier plant-derived oils, mirroring the trends we've already seen in North America and Europe.
Seems like a global shift. Then we had the Middle East, accounting for around 2% of global revenue.
Smaller share.
Smaller share, yeah. 2025 market size, USD 1,051.36 million. Projected CAGR, also strong at 10.7%.
Oh.
Saudi Arabia and the UAE are key markets here. Saudi Arabia at USD 370.08 million, 11.0% AGHR. UAE, USD 216.58 million, slightly higher again at 11.2% CAGR. What's influencing this growth?
Well, the growth in the Middle East seems to be fueled by, again, comparable factors. Rising demand for processed and convenience foods, alongside an increasing understanding and, I suppose, interest in healthier fat alternatives. The growing popularity of plant-based and vegan products is also contributing to the demand for a wider variety of these specialty fats and oils.
Right. Finally, let's look at Africa, currently holding around 1% of the global revenue.
Smallest piece of the pie right now.
Right. 2025 market size, USD 578.25 million, but it's projected to grow at a CAGR of 9.7%, so still very strong growth potential.
Nearly double digits. Significant.
South Africa leads the region. USD 203.54 million, 10.6% CGR, followed by Nigeria at USD 46.26 million, 9.9% CGR. The rest of Africa combined represents USD 328.44 million with an 8.9% CAGR.
What's the story here?
Africa presents a really interesting growth opportunity, doesn't it? It seems tied to increasing urbanization and, crucially, a rapidly expanding middle class.
Right, more disposable income. Exactly, with greater disposable income. As more people move to cities and have more purchasing power, their consumption habits shift towards more processed and convenient food options.
Makes sense.
Including more premium bakery, confectionery, dairy items. And the increasing adoption of plant-based and natural oils is also playing a role there, too.
So across the board, we're seeing pretty consistent growth, just at varying speeds.
That's the picture, yeah.
Okay, now let's really dig into what's powering this expansion. The report highlights several key growth drivers, starting with the increased demand for nutritional food products. That feels pretty fundamental, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Foundational, really. And this is intrinsically linked, isn't it, to the rising popularity of specialty fats and oils themselves.
How so?
Well, as people become more informed about different types of fats, their potential impact on health, They're increasingly seeking out specific specialty oils and fats for their unique properties, their applications.
Right. They're not just grabbing any old oil anymore.
Exactly. There's more discernment.
We're also seeing, interestingly, a greater demand for natural cosmetic products. That might not be the first thing you think of.
It might not, but it's a really important point.
Right.
Think about ingredients like coconut oil, shea butter, various other plant-derived oils.
Yeah.
They are highly valued in the beauty industry.
Yeah.
For their moisturizing properties, other beneficial qualities,
Yeah.
that drives significant demand.
Okay. Then there are technological advancements in food processing. How do these contribute to the growth?
These are crucial. They allow for more efficient, more sophisticated ways of, extracting, refining, modifying fats and oils.
Like what?
Well, for example, think about advancements in enzymatic intraesterification.
Okay.
That allows manufacturers to create trans fat-free fats with very specific melting points, specific textures, which are crucial for modern baking, for confectionery. These innovations directly enable the production of healthier, more functional specialty fats, expanding their use.
Right. Opening up new possibilities for food producers. And a major driver, it seems, is the growth in plant-based food alternatives. This keeps coming up.
It's huge. It's a significant global trend, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
As more consumers choose plant-based diets, the need for specialty fats and oils that can mimic the texture, the mouthfeel, even the flavor profiles of animal-based fats.
Right, to make the alternatives appealing.
Exactly. That need is surging. Consider the use of coconut oil in vegan butters or cocoa butter substitutes in plant-based chocolates. These are key.
Makes sense. Interestingly, the report specifically notes rising research and development opportunities in Germany and China. What kind of impact could that have?
Well, increased investment in R&D often leads to discovering new applications for existing specialty fats and oils,
Mm-hmm.
or even the creation of entirely new types with improved nutritional benefits or specific functional properties. This can further stimulate market growth by, opening up new product categories, enhancing existing ones.
Innovation driving demand. We also see increased demand for processed and convenience foods, particularly in sectors like bakery, confectionery, dairy. We touched on this, but it's listed as a key driver.
Precisely. And it makes sense because these sectors rely so heavily on specialty fats for achieving the desired texture, flavor, shelf life, overall quality of their products.
Right.
And with increasingly busy lifestyles, the demand for these convenient food options just keeps rising, which directly boosts the need for the specialty fats and oils that go into them.
Now, this next growth driver mentioned in the report, it was a bit unexpected.
Oh,
And
wow.
this, rising prevalence of ear, nose, and throat disorders, increasing demand for minimally invasive procedures, and advancements in imaging technology, leading to growth in the ENT surgery segment.
ENT surgery.
That feels, well, out of place in a discussion about food and cosmetics, doesn't it?
It really does. You're right. It seems like an unusual connection to highlight here.
Okay.
It's possible, I suppose, that certain highly specialized oils are used in very specific medical applications related to ENT procedures.
Maybe lubricants or something?
Perhaps as lubricants for delicate surgical instruments or maybe in advanced medical imaging techniques.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say definitively without more specifics in this report,
Yeah.
but it certainly stands out as an unexpected growth area mentioned.
Agreed. We have to report what's in the source, even if the link isn't immediately obvious. Okay, moving on. For Africa specifically, the report emphasizes rising urbanization and the growing middle-class consumption of processed foods as key drivers. We touched on that earlier.
Yes, and it really underscores how these broader economic and societal shifts can have such a direct impact on the demand for these specialized ingredients.
And looking at specific countries reinforces this. We see increasing consumer preference for plant-based alternatives in the U.S. and Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Canada's growing appetite for convenient food.
Right.
The UK's strong, sustained interest in vegan and plant-based diets. Argentina's rising disposable incomes. It all plays a role.
It really does.
Even Qatar is showing a greater preference for healthier plant-based oils, and Turkey is experiencing advancements in the specialty fats and oils themselves. It just illustrates the diverse factors influencing demand locally.
Absolutely. Each region, even individual countries within those regions, they have their own unique mix of consumer tastes, economic conditions, evolving dietary patterns, and that shapes their specific needs and demands.
Of course, it's not all just smooth sailing and growth. The report also points to some factors that could, restrain the market.
The headwinds.
Right. One significant one is ongoing health concerns related to the overconsumption of fats and oils in general. This is a constant public discussion, isn't it?
It is. And while specialty fats and oils can often offer healthier alternatives, that broader public health messaging around limiting overall fat intake, well, it can act as a restraint on the total market volume.
Right.
Consumers are increasingly looking for balanced diets, and they're often wary of high fat content in foods, regardless of the type of fat.
The other limiting factor mentioned is the often higher cost of specialty fats and oils. These aren't your standard mass-produced commodities, are they?
No, generally not. They often require more specialized sourcing, more complex processing techniques, or they possess unique functional properties,
All adds up.
right? All of which can contribute to higher production costs. And this, in turn, can translate to higher prices for food manufacturers and ultimately consumers. That can potentially limit their widespread adoption, especially in more price-sensitive markets.
Makes sense. Okay, now let's take a look at how the market is broken down by segment. By product type, the report indicates that specialty oils are likely to hold the largest share. What's driving that dominance?
Well, the projected dominance of specialty oils seems to be driven by a mix of factors we've already touched on.
Okay.
The increasing consumer demand for healthier, trans fat-free options, obviously, the
Wow.
growing popularity of plant-based diets,
Hmm.
ongoing advancements in oil processing tech.
Right.
Additionally, there's greater consumer awareness of specific health benefits, like omega-3 rich varieties.
Hmm.
The expansion of vegan product lines needing specific oils. The increasing use of natural oils in personal care and cosmetics. That's a big one, too.
And sustainability?
Yes. And finally, the growing emphasis on sustainability and ethical sourcing, particularly important in regions like APAC and Latin America, often favors many specialty oil sources.
Gotcha. And what about specialty fats? The report suggests they are actually the fastest growing segment. That's an interesting contrast. Oils have the biggest share, but fats are growing fastest.
Yes, it is interesting. While specialty oils might command a larger slice of the total market value right now, the rapid growth of specialty fats is being fueled by the food industry's increasing need for healthier and more functional ingredients,
Especially in processed foods.
especially in processed and plant-based foods. Yes, the consumer preference for products that are trans fat-free, lower in saturated fats,
Okay.
that's a major driver for specialty fats, as is the expanding use of specialty fats in other sectors like pharmaceuticals, personal care, cosmetics, and again, continuous improvements in processing, focus on sustainable sourcing, expansion into new regional markets. It all contributes to this accelerated growth for fats.
Right. Now, looking at the end-use industries, the report highlights food and beverage holding the largest share. That's probably not too surprising given our earlier discussion.
Not at all, no. The rising global demand for processed and convenience foods, bakery, confectionery, dairy, that's a primary factor.
Mm-hmm.
The consumer shift towards healthier options, leading to increased use of trans fat-free, low-saturated fat oils and fats,
Right.
and the continued growth of plant-based diets, functional foods. It all contributes significantly. Plus, ongoing innovations in oil and fat processing within the food and beverage industry are also vital.
We did touch on that somewhat unexpected mention of the ENT surgery segment's rapid expansion
Oh,
earlier.
because the outlier.
The outlier. Just to reiterate the report's reasoning, it links this to the increasing prevalence of related disorders, greater demand for minimally invasive procedures, and advancements in imaging tech. Still feels a bit separate from the main story here.
It does. But, it serves as a reminder, perhaps, of the potential for even seemingly common substances like fats and oils to find applications in quite diverse, quite specialized fields,
True.
even if the specific mechanisms, in this case, require more detailed info than we have here.
Fair point. Finally, let's talk about the players. The competitive landscape. The report indicates it's a highly competitive space, mix of global and regional companies.
That sounds about right. Typical for a significant expanding market like this one. Success often hinges on a company's ability to innovate, to establish strong distribution networks, and, crucially, to adapt effectively to those evolving consumer preferences we've been talking about.
The report names some key companies: US-based Cargill Incorporated and Bunge Limited, Walmart International and Meiwa International from Singapore, AAKAB based in Sweden, and IOI Loaders Crooklyn with origins in Malaysia. It's a truly international group.
It really underscores the global nature of this industry, doesn't it? Major players, headquartered across different continents, reflecting those worldwide production and consumption patterns we've been discussing.
And in terms of recent industry moves, the report mentions a specific acquisition. March 2022, Alfa Laval, a Swedish company, acquired Dismet.
Ah, Dismet, yeah. Big in edible oils and biofuel processing tech.
Exactly. The stated goal was apparently to strengthen Alfa Laval's position in renewable energy and complement their existing offerings in edible oils. These kinds of M&A activities can certainly reshape the competitive dynamic.
Absolutely. Consolidation within the industry often leads to greater market influence for the resulting companies, as well as potential synergies in tech development distribution. It definitely shakes things up.
So, to try and bring it all together, it's clear that this global specialty fats and oils market is not only substantial right now, but it's also set for really significant expansion in the coming years.
Definitely looks that way.
And this growth seems propelled by a combination of factors, most notably that increasing consumer focus on health, the rise of plant-based diets, alongside ongoing technological advancements in food processing and potentially other applications.
And those differences in growth rates and market sizes across the regions, they really underscore the diverse consumer needs and economic conditions at play around the world. The overall picture is one of a dynamic market actively responding to changing demands and new technological possibilities.
It really makes you think. Considering this increasing emphasis on health and sustainability, how might the specific types of specialty fats and oils that are in demand evolve even further in the years to come?
That's a great question.
And what new, maybe unexpected applications might emerge for these ingredients? Beyond the traditional food, beverage, and maybe cosmetic sectors we discussed.
That's a really insightful question for you, the listener, to ponder. As research continues, as consumer preferences keep shifting, we could very well see a surge in demand for even more specialized or functional fats and oils.
Perhaps from new sources.
Maybe derived from novel or less common sources, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even tailored for very specific health needs or industrial applications that perhaps we can't fully anticipate right now.
It's definitely a lot to consider, whether your interests lie in the food industry, health and wellness, or just the broader business landscape. This deep dive has hopefully offered you a glimpse into a complex, evolving industry.
And as always, there are many more layers to explore.